Human Nature, a journey in search of a peaceful and prosperous society with human nature as a guide. Led by your host, Adam Heyman.
Hello and welcome to Heyman Nature. It is August 3rd, 2024. And with me as always is my buddy Tyrone, the Porcupine Hobo. How you doing, man?
Feeling spiky.
So spiky. We have a pretty great show today. I know we're queued up for the finale of the greatest game to ever be played. Who will be first to ruin the world? But before we get into that, what are we going to talk about first, my friend?
Yeah, so recently, Adam, you've written a couple of articles in your daily newsletter around Ross Ulbricht, and I was thinking about this. Why is this an important issue? Sorry.
Free Ross.
Oh yeah,
Free Ross.
Free Ross. And I was thinking, why is this an important issue? Why as libertarians do we care about it? Why are we spending time on it? Why is something that happened so many years ago, it's been more than a decade, have any relevance today, especially with all the craziness that's been going on? I mean, the last month has just been insane, and it seems like Ross Ulbricht. Why are we talking about this? There's got to be other things. And during the Libertarian National Convention, obviously, Trump spoke. We've covered this, and he made a pledge to commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht. Day one in office. It's gonna be beautiful.
Huge.
I gotta work on my Trump voice. Yeah, huge, and China is the only ones I can really.
Well, I get your point,
but
Tyrone. And for people who don't know who Ross Ulbricht is, please go to heymannature.substack.com and search for Ross. You will immediately see a couple articles I did about his tragic story. Essentially, the government gave him 2 back-to-back life sentences plus 40 years for starting a website. Right. A nonviolent first-time offender, and they threw the book at him. And we'll probably get into exactly why they did that. But you ask, why does it matter? And that's a great question. I mean, it's just one guy who got railroaded by the government. Why should we care particularly about this when there are hundreds of thousands of injustices that have happened over the course of the years of these here United States? And I would frame your intuition thusly. It's like saying, who really cares who blew JFK's head off? I mean, that's just one murder. We have a lot of murders in this country. What makes that one so important? What makes it so important is it revealed to those of us who was paying attention that during the Cold War, there were elements of the deep state that decided it was important enough to assassinate the president to make sure that their foreign policy agenda didn't get screwed over. Similarly, why should we care about Joe Biden's government weaponizing the Department of Justice and encouraging state attorneys general and districts of attorney, however you say that word, to go after Donald Trump? Who cares? A lot of prosecutors, file bullshit cases and railroad people. Why do we care? We care because it's the government doing something really, really awful that is much more meaningful than just the case. And in this case, they were so freaked out by this guy who created an online market in, I think it was 2011 when he started the Silk Road. And they were so freaked out that these people were buying and selling drugs and fake IDs and stuff and using Bitcoin. And they couldn't catch him. And they were so freaked out by the whole thing. And they were really, really freaked out. Remember, this is the early days of Bitcoin. And the Bitcoin proponents were saying things like, yeah, we're going to take over the US dollar. It's just going to be over because we've got this thing that nobody can track. And the Silk Road personified that. Oh, and Ross was writing libertarian Rothbardian treatises on his side, just thumbing his nose at the whole thing. So when the government takes a nonviolent actor who just created a website, he didn't even buy and sell drugs himself, he was just the guy running eBay. And when they screw him over that hard, it bears making a big deal out of it, forcing them to capitulate, let him out, and draw attention to the fact that the government does not really care about justice. They care about retribution um, and protecting their own power, not just, protecting the public or whatever. Cases like this just need to be, for the same reason that Black Lives Matter was making, raising bloody holy hell over George Floyd. That was wasn't just one thing that happened to one guy. To them, it was endemic of a corruption in every police department in the country. That's why they made a big deal out of it. This is like that. It's a systemic, endemic problem. And that's why we need to make a big deal about Ross Ulbricht and free Ross right there. Go to freeross.org, sign the petition, donate to the cause, and let's get him the hell out of that prison in Tucson, Arizona, where he's holed up at.
Yeah, Adam, it's been on my mind. Something's been bugging me a little bit about this ever since the Libertarian National Convention, and really something stuck in my craw when Tim Pool was broadcasting from the convention. One of his criticisms about the convention was, did the libertarians really accomplish anything? They invited Trump. He had a lot of negative things to say. It was kind of a S show and a little bit of, things going all over the place. And he's like the big thing that the libertarians came out of saying that they accomplished from that or succeeded or got out of that was a guarantee from Trump that on day one, should he be elected, he'd free Ross Ulbricht. And Tim Pool was like, I don't care about that. Who cares about that? That's not important in this day and age. And that's just sort of in my mind, I was thinking that there must be some kind of response to that because it is important, but I couldn't articulate it to myself very well, and I wasn't sure how to respond to that. So which is why I kind of wanted to bring up these articles that you had just written. So if you could kind of respond to that, just sort
I
of like why as libertarians are we focusing on this?
Well,
Like,
I would be happy to respond, and it's getting my blood boiling a little bit the way Doug Casey did. I mean, you are right. We are not having a very visible footprint on the world in changing government policy. I don't think Tim Pool is either. But at least we are out there trying to do everything we can. And it's not like, if we could lead with any policy position we could, it would be, yeah, end the empire. I don't think that was on offer.
right.
But we're making it because our votes are valuable. We're making inroads. And this is something that I thought, or it wasn't me, but Angela thought that could be done. We knew he was he was directionally sympathetic to doing things like pardoning Snowden and Assange and commuting Ross Ulbricht's sentence. He said he did it before he left office. He claims that he signed the paperwork, but his AG just slow walked it or put it in the round file or something. I don't know if that's true, but if you've ever done sales, get the customer to say yes to something, even if it's just taking a glass of bottle of water from you. This is like that. Get him accustomed to agreeing with us about something and influencing his policy positions. And yeah, I'd love for him to end the Fed, but I don't think we can lead with that. And just as I was annoyed by Doug Casey, I'm a little bit annoyed by Tim Pool bothering to come to the convention so he can fill his content with just how crappy and awful and useless we are. Well, okay, guy, but you don't need to pay attention. We actually are putting the rubber to the road and actually trying to change something. And I admit that we're sort of feckless, but we're getting a whole lot more attention and traction than we have in our 50-year history. I mean, we're finally starting to get somewhere, and people are bitching now. Get with the program, guy. Get with the freaking program. I mean, what happens if he manages to duck a few more bullets between now and November and he actually gets, wins the election and gets seated? What if he
Right.
does free Ross?
Wow,
That'll be
that'd
the
be
first
amazing.
thing we've accomplished ever. And what if that does lead to him at least putting libertarian-like people in his cabinet, or taking phone calls from people like Scott Horton when he's thinking about dropping a few more bombs? Maybe he doesn't have to listen to the neocon that's assigned to him. We're having an impact, and it's just the height of stupidity for a guy with as important a platform as Tim Pool to just poop all over us like we're not doing anything. You got to understand where we are. I mean, we would be really, really stupid if we just shouted "end the Fed" at him, for example, instead of "free Ross." That would accomplish nothing. Here,
Yeah.
at least we're cracking the door open. We're getting our foot in the door, and I'm just appalled by people who can't see that. And I guess to give the devil his due, we do look a little ridiculous with some of our shenanigans, but we are trying to get something done. And I'm sorry it's not more, but the Mises Caucus has only had influence on this party for a couple of years now. Give us a break.
Well, I also think it comes down to, and you and I criticize ourselves and other libertarians for sometimes focusing too much on philosophy
Sure,
or academic
sure.
treatises about libertarianism, and the criticism is, look, dude, all that stuff's great, and eh, it's nice to sit around the fireplace with your five libertarian friends and talk about, you know, economics books and stuff like that. But dude, we're in the fight of our lives, and there's cultural issues, and those are more important. But you know, the cult, everything comes from philosophy,
It
right?
does.
Everything comes from those original ideas. And if you don't have a good foundation of those ideas, then you're just going to go off in whatever direction the wind blows sometimes. Like I think a lot of these people, like Tim Pool or Donald Trump, or a lot of people on both the left and the right, just sort of go with these sort of general gut feelings
Well,
and yeah, go ahead.
yeah, this reminds me of what I said in I assume what just came out recently, an interview with James Gentleman. As Ayn Rand said, everybody has a philosophy, whether
Right.
they acknowledge it or not.
Mhm.
And it's a very important decision to be made whether you're going to acknowledge what yours is and aim it rather than just meander, as you're saying. And to your earlier point, we have been people sitting, you know, ripping bongs in the dorm room, just hypothesizing about the perfect society and what the legal code should be and blah, blah, blah. And that's great. And I love to do that. And my bookshelves are filled with tomes that, advance these theories and support them and defend them. But at some point, you got to come out of the dorm room and sober up and actually put the car in drive and take it down the road. And that's why, I'm so frustrated by people who are just living in their ivory tower saying completely abolish the Department of Education. Well, we can actually do that, but get all government completely out of schools. Yeah, absolutely. But in the meantime, let's take school choice because that's an achievable win. And maybe freeing Ross Ulbricht you know, doesn't delight Tim Pool, but it's an achievable win, and we should get those. We should always advocate for the pure libertarian answer to anything. But then when it comes to time to get into the trenches and advance liberty, we got to take what we can get. And as long as you're not moving in the wrong direction, and as long as you're out there brushing shoulders with other people who think differently than you do and influencing them positively, I call that a win. I call that getting in the game and making something happen.
Well, let me finish my thought, because since you brought up Ayn Rand, I'll play on that too. But it what I was trying to get at was that sometimes libertarians get criticized for just talking about in these generic philosophical concepts, right? So I think for libertarians, the two probably most important value concepts or values that we hold are liberty and justice, freedom and justice. But if you just talk about things in the abstract, it's hard for people for your non-philosophical person to grab onto that and understand that. And what the thing that Ayn Rand would always say is, the reason why she wrote fiction is because it concretizes the ideas into something that you can actually see or
Yep.
feel as
Yep.
a human being. So the Ross Ulbricht thing is a concretization of our libertarian values of freedom and justice. So it's something we can point to and talk about our philosophical concepts with a real world case that
That's
can be pointed to. So for me, obviously it's a great injustice what happened to him, and we're talking about a person's life. So I don't want to say that anything rises above that. But from a purely political viewpoint, from our political viewpoint, from our philosophical viewpoint, we can step out of that bong smoke filled hazed college dorm room and into the real world with a real example. And it's important to be able to put real faces on these things. As if nothing else, as symbols that people
You're
can relate to.
you're exactly right. And to point to something here recent in the news, that's why Julian Assange is so important. And Daniel Ellsberg before him. It's one thing to talk about freedom of the press, but it's another thing to watch the government go after people
Right.
who tell the public what the government is doing. I mean, the height of shadowy cabals, where the public just isn't allowed to know what the hell's going on. And when a journalist tells them what's going on, I want to throw them in jail. You're absolutely right. It would be much, much weaker a persuasive case if we just talked about the theory without being able to point to Julian Assange and saying, yeah, and it's nice that you let him go, but let's, by the way, just absolutely pardon him too. No one should have to plead guilty to the crime of journalism. It's a freaking joke.
So my response to Tim Pool is why is Ross Ulbricht important? Well, it's not important because it's just one guy. It's just one case in the million judicial legal system cases. Why are we talking about just this one guy? It's because what he represents, because it's about liberty and justice. Well, I remember saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm pretty sure liberty and justice is, kind of an important part there when you're putting your hand over your heart or whatever, So that's why it's important, dude. It's like it's not about Ross. It's about liberty and justice.
When I was in Washington, D.C. on the day Trump came, I was wearing, during convention business, my free Ross shirt. And a reporter, one of the guys Tim Pool hires, came out and asked me about my shirt to tell me, like, who is this Ross Ulbricht guy? And I told him the whole story, including the part where, if you want my opinion as to why they threw the book at him, is because he messed with the government's money. And I told a little story about, as late as the late 80s, early 90s in Vegas, you could walk out of the Stardust or whatever with a pocket full of chips and just go over to Denny's and use them to pay for your breakfast. They'll hand you dollar bills as change. Nobody cared. You could play different casinos at other casinos. They would just switch them out for you. And then later in the week, they'd have almost like a bank clearinghouse session, where they would just give the chips. And the government came and rolled the tanks. They made sure they shut that all down. And why? Because it was starting to look like, they were using their own money. And the local enforcement mob that enslaves us doesn't want you thinking you can use your own money or anything even close to that. And that's why they threw the book at Ross,
100%.
because Bitcoin, they were scared to death of Bitcoin. That's why they want to shove a central bank digital currency down our throats, because they think that will forestall this move by the public towards anything like cryptocurrency.
Well, it also threatened a certain three letters agency, number one source of revenue. So,
Right.
I think that three letter agency was just pissed that they didn't think of launching the Silk Road themselves first.
Well, multiple three-letter agencies got the last laugh because they stole
Wow. Yeah.
millions and millions of dollars of Ross Ulbricht's Bitcoin.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
just
that's true.
straight up stole it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't mess with the government. They are vindictive and awful. And yeah, that's why I hate the criticism. That's just goofy. I think we should argue for the right things, important things all the time, but get what you can get when it's gettable. That's just basic tactical awareness.
Yeah.
And for someone to criticize what we're doing when we're doing an achievable thing, that's just living in the past, man. Come on.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I don't know what else more to say about it than that. It's just, it's a tragedy, and this poor kid. I mean, yeah, he made a website.
I should add that I think there was actually more to it going on behind the scenes, behind why Julian Assange got freed when he got freed.
Oh, what's your
But it
thoughts there?
sort of looked like, I mean, a cursory examiner of the facts could come to the conclusion that we were pressuring Trump to free Ross, and then the Joe Biden campaign was looking for something that they could do, so they freed Julian. I don't really think that's what happened. I think that
Yeah, I don't think
the
so.
extradition case was falling apart because the tide was turning in the UK. I'm not positive about that, but I think it's more along those lines rather than us influencing the Biden camp. But sorry, dude, but I think it was Michael Malice on Twitter who was saying, "Hey, I think he said it to Biden, but now it'd be Kamala. Hey, you want to make Trump look like a chump? You free Ross Ulbricht. Just take that card, take that ace away from his sleeve, and that would be us. Making real things happen in the real world and getting media attention on a story that everybody should know about."
Well, I don't think Ms. Harris is in the business of letting people out of jail. So.
Officer Harris. Yeah, Officer Harris does not let him go.
But I mean, maybe she can put Ross to work in, the quarry or something.
That's a different Ayn Rand novel.
All right. Great. Well, yeah, I just want to spend a little time on that. So, folks, like Adam said, if you're not familiar with this topic, go to hamanature.com, hamanature.substack.com, and check out Adam's articles on it.
And while you're there, make sure you check the link to go to freeross.org, and you'll find even more information about what's going on with that case and how you can help, and maybe we'll get this poor guy out.
Well, cool, bro. The audience didn't tune in for this. They've been waiting patiently for weeks and weeks and weeks for us to finally get to what we're about to do. Drum roll, please. It is time, finally, for the finale of the greatest game ever made. First to ruin the world.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, here we go. This is it. So we have gone through the full bracket. Quick recap of our game, First to Ruin the World. We threw out some hypothetical situations or people, entities, things. We put them into categories. We did a bracket style competition. We threw it over to our listeners and subscribers to vote to who they thought, or like I said, what they thought would have the best chance of ruining the world first, because in 2024, Lord knows it's crazy. Anything can happen. So who knows?
I mean, Tyrone, you sort of make it sound like this was silly and haphazard, but I don't see how that could be true. I mean, in the culture division, you had the Hoff, David Hasselhoff against Taylor Swift.
Yep.
And then you had Tom Cruise or the movie Cocktail. I can't remember how we framed it versus Miley Cyrus. I mean, these are important things. It's not like you were just waking up in a fever dream wondering who might ruin the world. I mean, this is objectively the most likely.
That's right.
16 things or entities or creatures from hell to ruin the world. And then in the weed pourri division, we had Taco Bell versus McDonald's.
My money was on the Pepto Chalupa, man. I thought for sure
Pepto Chalupa was strong. And then you had Saved by the Bell versus either Skynet or AI in general. Again, I can't remember how we framed it. But again, this is not haphazard. And in the politics division, Janet Yellen versus Jerome Powell. That's critically important.
Absolutely.
Joseph Robinette Biden versus Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. These are important things.
Absolutely.
And then in the conspiracy division, Boeing and the military-industrial complex versus King now Charles. If I remember correctly, the double-wielding scepters of Golden Doom.
King Dumbledore. That's right.
These are serious things. And then finally, of course, the Central Intelligence Agency versus
MI6.
Their cohorts across the pond, MI6. These are. I just don't want you to undersell what we're doing here. We did the research.
That's right.
We assembled the brackets carefully, and then
We asked the AI gods to calculate the most probable, and that's how we came up with the brackets.
So we came this close to death by chalupa.
That's right. That's right.
So anyway, in the finals.
Yeah, that's right. We turned it over to our subscribers for the very final. It is down to Taylor Swift versus the CIA. Man,
also horrifying.
What a matchup. What a matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are two heavyweights. I mean,
heavyweights. Did you have an opinion going in? I mean, were you I don't want you to reveal your vote, but
I'm a Swiftie, man. I'm a Swiftie all the way. T Swift. I mean, she changes whole economies when her tour shows up. So you want to talk about someone that can move and shake the world? My money's on T Swift. Who did you have?
Well, Taylor Swift's powerful is subtle and yet enormous, much like the influence of the moon on the tides. But for me, I'm an old school CIA horrified citizen, cowed into near submission by the wrecking ball. That is the most powerful element of the deep state, in my opinion.
All right. Well, Adam, we've had some close calls in the previous rounds. We've had some that have come like 50-50, and we had to do a tiebreaker. We had some that were 60-40, right? Taylor Swift was kind of a blowout in her brackets the whole time. So I was kind of expecting this one to go down to the wire too, where we might even have a tiebreaker situation. But the final winner of the first to ruin the world won it by a huge margin, 78%.
My goodness.
And the winner of the first to ruin the world is...
Oh my goodness. CIA for the victory. They will officially be the first to ruin the world. If only we'd thought to put a time element into this game, then we'd really know something.
Well, there you go, Adam. The first to ruin the world. Looks like CIA is going to do it. And
CIA is going to do it.
You know what? These votes were in before the Butler, Pennsylvania thing. So I think our listeners and viewers, I think our listeners and viewers know what they're talking about. So
I mean, we do have a very intelligent audience. I'm very proud of that fact.
Not that we're saying anything, not that we're saying or implying anything.
These views expressed are for entertainment purposes only.
It's a joke. If anyone's listening.
And I don't know. This was so much fun. I think if come the next year, if the world is still here, we might have to just crank this thing up again.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, folks, if you like this and more,
if the CIA merely grazes the ear, so to speak, of the world and doesn't in fact
there you go
end it.
Well, folks, if you like this kind of content and want to see more of it, please jump over to HeymanNature.com and sign up on our Substack for a paid subscription. We are listener and viewer supported. Adam, I know this episode's running a little short, and I feel like I don't want to cut our viewers, cheap out on our viewers or short shrift them a little bit. So, but I know you and I both have to go. We've got some very important libertarian business that we need to take care of. But so to that end, I invited a couple of co-hosts to fill in for us for the last part of our shows. Is that cool with you?
No, that's a great idea. I don't want to shortchange our fans either. So who's it going to be?
Well, I think we'll just do a reveal, and people can stick around and see who's gonna finish this episode. So, folks, until next time, we will see you then. And now, the great seer, soothsayer, and sage, HAMAC the Magnificent.
It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you, and thank you.
No, the honor is mine, the amazing HAMAC. Thank you for joining us here and taking over co-host duties with me on Heyman Nature. HAMAC.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes. Amazing HAMAC. Yes, please.
What happened to Ross? And is Rachel okay? I have questions.
I don't know what's in this pipe, but you've been smoking something. Now, HAMAC, listen. Amazing HAMAC, listen to me. This is very important. Very important. I sent you a certified by mail package delivered by the amazing people at TWA Airlines in a sealed package. Did you receive this package?
Oh, they're here right now. They're handing the envelopes to me now. Here they are.
Yes. Inside the package, were envelopes that were sealed in a mayonnaise jar that has been on Tom Woods' porch since noon last week. No one knows the contents of these envelopes, but you, in your mystical and borderline divine way, will ascertain the answers, having never before heard the questions.
I don't know why you're so astonished. I do this sort of thing every day.
Now, HAMAC, as anyone can clearly see, that those envelopes have been hermetically sealed. No one could have opened them or seen the answers before. You, using your amazing powers of mental
smartitude,
of premonitions.
What I do, my good man, is I see things. I see the answer to questions.
Yes.
I penetrate riddles, things that are unknown. I make known. These are my gifts. This is what I am here to do.
Well, amazing HAMAC, are you ready?
I am ready. Shall we begin?
Let us begin.
Okay. Elderly racist complains after receiving their first ear piercing.
Elderly racist complains after receiving their first ear piercing.
Yeah, that's right. How did MSNBC's Twitter account report the assassination attempt on Donald Trump?
Oh, HAMAC, your amazing gifts continue to astound. Do you think you can do another?
I haven't heard a belly laugh like that since the late 90s. Yes, of course I can do another. Of course I can do another.
When watching Friends, did we have those belly laughs?
I'm getting something. The 2024 Olympics in France, Paris, France.
2024 Olympics in Paris, France.
Yeah. Where can a guy go to beat up some women to the cheers of adoring fans?
Oh, it's a low blow. Low blow. That's what she said.
That's what she said. All right. Would you like more of this amazing?
Oh, please. I am
clairvoyance.
This is amazing. Please continue.
I mean, you're laughing, but this is pretty impressive stuff.
Worth the price of admission.
I'm getting snap, crackle, and pop.
Snap, crackle, and pop.
How did Johnny make these envelopes open?
You can read the minds, but can't open an envelope. The amazing HAMAC, everyone.
My gifts are mental. Snap, crackle, and pop. What is a horrible name for an orthopedic surgeon's medical practice?
Oh, I think I've been to that one.
Shall we?
Please.
I'm getting Chase Oliver.
Chase Oliver.
Yeah, that's what I said. Chase Oliver. What woke, horny libertarians do. Yeah. Yeah.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
So to speak. All right, let's do another one. I think I'm on a roll. I mean, I'm really seeing.
Oh,
I'm seeing clearly.
You're perfect. You're 9 out of 9.
I'm seeing perfectly clearly now. This is turn and cough.
Turn and cough.
Yeah, turn and cough. Fauci's new plan to flatten the curve. All right, here we go. One more. I was born on the wrong planet.
I was born on the wrong planet.
Perplexing, isn't it?
Yes. Very mysterious.
What a trans fat person says after stepping on a scale.
Oh! Are there any more?
There's
Amazing HAMAC?
There's one more here. Yeah.
One more. Okay.
Let's see what it is. Nothing. I'm getting absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
This is weird. This has never happened before. It's blank. I'm getting nothing here. What in the world is going on?
Interesting.
White guys for Harris.
I'm just shaking my head at that one. Well, hey, Mac, I think we need to do a bonus one. Can we do one more? One more for the audience?
For my adoring fans in this new nation. One more. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm getting. But wait, there's more. Yeah, that's right. But wait, there's more. Is there an echo in here? If you want to see more of the amazing HAMAC, go to HeymanNature.com and become a paid subscriber for more amazing, unbelievable predictions.
Oh, call to action.
I don't know what that means, but this is what I see.